In honor of my favorite holiday and spooky season, I am going to be recommending you a bunch of books based off of Halloween emojis. How this is gonna work is all the screaming emojis I'm going to put next to books that actually scared me. So you'll know exactly which ones you want if you want to scare or if you don't want to scare. Welcome to my channel, it's Bells. Let's bring on the books. We're gonna start with the smiling little devil emoji. This was one of my favorite books that I read this year, and I picked Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. The book is about a little kid, Christopher. His mom runs away from an abusive relationship with him. They wind up in this small town that feels very safe, and then Christopher goes missing for 7 days. When he comes back, everything seems fine. He seems totally okay, but he doesn't remember anything, and all he knows is that he needs to build a tree house in the woods behind his house by Christmas, or everyone in the town is going to die, and he has a new imaginary friend to help him out with it. This book is absolutely horrifying. I think it's the perfect book for this time of year. We start off mostly going back and forth between the POV of Christopher and his mom, Kate. By the end of it, we're kind of following like almost 20 different people. A lot of religious commentary in this piece. If you're scared of deer or you're around deer a lot, this might not be the best book for you. I don't think I will ever be able to look at deer the same way ever again, talk to them, anything. That is my pick for the imaginary devil horns. If I explained why to you, that would be a bit of a spoiler. The recommendation definitely holds up. So just know that and go read it and then tell me how you feel about it after the fact. Our second emoji that we're going to be talking about is the ghost emoji. Wow, this emoji is like very fun and cute, like, aww. I picked a classic gothic horror for this one, which is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I loved this book so much. The writing is super lyrical, it's really gorgeous. It follows this unnamed female narrator who, of course, akin to a beautiful gothic romance, falls in love with this mysterious older man who takes her back to his secluded mansion, or manor, I guess, and when she gets there, she realizes that the ghost of his former ex-wife is kind of everywhere over the house. Now, of course, it's a gothic horror, so it's very spooky, it's very isolated. I find with a lot of gothic stories, I get really obsessed about the story. I can't stop thinking about it. A lot of the time, they're also mysteries, which is super fun. So this one, again, is also a mystery. You're kind of trying to find out what happened to Rebecca. Is she a ghost? Is she still around? Daphne du Maurier's writing will make you feel like you are in that house walking around with this narrator. Number 3 is The Vampire. If anyone saw my TBR, you will probably guess what this one is, and it is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Here's your first Stephen King. I really enjoyed this book. Obviously, it's about vampires showing up in this small town and starting to turn everybody into vampires. And you're following this kind of like ragtag group of heroes who are trying to kill the main vampire and then kind of deal with the rest of them. I wasn't scared reading this book, but I did constantly have this like ominous like feeling on my shoulders, if that makes sense. It was very character heavy, so if you're looking for kind of a longer read that's not going to scare you but is going to make you feel horrified, I think it's a really good choice for that. And Stephen King, so you know the writing's gonna be good. Our next pick is going to be for The Zombie. This is also a Stephen King book, so I apologize. The one that I picked for zombies is The Long Walk. This was originally published under Stephen King's pen name, which was Richard Bachman. I was right, it was Richard. So this was originally published under his pen name, Richard Bachman, which he used for his more like really bleak stories. And if you thought normal Stephen King was bleak, oh boy, are you not ready for this one. I'm gonna wait for the helicopter to pass. The Long Walk is about this group of 100 boys who are all kind of competing to win the like ultimate prize in this dystopian world. So they all have to walk for as long as they can, as far as they can, at a certain pace, or they will die. They've all agreed to do this for whatever reason. And I picked zombie because they're like slugging forward. They can't sleep, they can't go to the bathroom, they have to just keep walking. This book is great. It's real gory and it's real bleak. Feels like something you should read in the dark when it's like storming. So that's like a real bleak, sad pick. So for our next pick, which is the jack-o'-lantern, I wanted to pick 2 because it's such a quintessential Halloween staple. My first pick for the jack-o'-lantern emoji is Little Eyes by Samantha Schweblin. This book is super short. It's just over 200 pages, I think. Oh my god. I walked into it, I didn't realize it was like a psychological thriller, and it really fucks with you. There's this like viral craze of these little animals that are basically Furbies called Kentuckys. And they're like these little Furbies that have like eyes and can roll around. You do not have control over it when you purchase it. So you purchase a thing that can watch you, and then someone else purchases like a code. That code will just open up into any one of these Kentuckys across the planet. If you're like the player, you can observe other people's homes and their lives. But if you like own the actual Kentucky, you're letting someone into your life, and it's kind of like a form of weird companionship. It's obviously like a metaphor for social media and how we're inviting like people into our lives by going on film. This gets really dark. It doesn't sound like it would get really dark, and you can imagine that it's like, oh yeah, there's like a little creepy element to it. No, this gets freaking dark. The twist ending got me real by surprise, which is awesome. I constantly guess the twists to books, and I love being wrong, and this one like blew me out of the water. Just the way that it's written really subverts your expectations for what's going on. I really like books that follow a lot of different perspectives. You're following quite a few different stories, again, from kids to the elderly. Read this book. It will horrify you to no end, and I think that's always a fun time around Halloween. Oh, and it's the jack-o'-lantern, because inside the jack-o'-lantern it's got like little eyes, so the little eyes are watching you. Anyway, can you tell I like this stuff? I don't know, I can tell. My second pick is the third Stephen King book, and that would be The Shining. I picked it for the jack-o'-lantern because the main character's name is Jack, and also shining, and like you stick like a candle in a pumpkin and like it glows. I know, it's a bit of a push. I really just wanted to talk about The Shining again, which has become one of my favorite novels that I've ever read. If you don't know the story about The Shining, essentially this man Jack takes his family, gets a job as the caretaker of this very old creepy hotel in the middle of nowhere over the winter. So it's like totally empty. It's their off season. He's just making sure it doesn't like burn down. While he's there, he starts experiencing horrifying things. There's like ghosts and like some kind of evil element that takes over Jack. His son Danny has like The Shining, which is like a psychic ability. I liked this about 10 times more than I liked the movie. The character of Wendy is so good. It is much scarier than the movie. It definitely only sticks with Jack's story throughout the movie, but in the book you get a lot of what Danny experiences too, and he experiences so many creepy things. It's just like horrible. Like you're just gonna sit there and like not want to read it, but you have to keep reading it because you need to know what happens. You need to know that they'll be okay. If you haven't read The Shining in a while, do so and then watch the movie. I don't think you'll regret it. Go read The Shining. Our next emoji we're gonna talk about is the little cute disguised face, because costumes are important for Halloween, and I wound up picking The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is a thriller. It's not gonna scare you. It's like a classic murder mystery thriller whodunit. This one was really cool because you don't know who died and you also don't know who killed, which I think is a great twist on such like a classic formula for a story. Let me just cover exactly what it's about. It's a really simple premise. You have this couple who's getting married on this creepy island with like no cell service. Have the classic cast of characters. We have the groom, the best man, these like really creepy frat boys who've grown up, which I think is the most horrifying thing of all. Personally, no offense, the depressed sister who has a secret that she's not telling, the mother-in-law, and someone turns up dead at the wedding. So we get to go back and forth between like the events leading up to the wedding and the actual events of them trying to find out who killed the person. So I think it's really cool how you can go back and forth between all of these different characters. We get to go into all of their POVs, as well as going back and forth between time. That's like really complicated to write. That's like not easy to do, and I think Lucy Foley did a fantastic job here. It's like not gonna be the best read of the year, but it is gonna be really fun. I picked this for the disguised face because honestly, by the time we get to the end, I truly think any one of them had a decent motive. Some secrets come out. It's suspenseful, it's interesting, the characters are really fun, except they're not really fun, they're all crazy. Okay, so for our final choice, I wanted to pick the one that scared me the most, that had the most impact on me as a reader. And I picked this emoji, The Derelict House, because I love a good haunted house story. The recommendation that I have for you is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. You have to get this in physical copy. It does not work if you don't, because the pages are crazy. Some of them are like covered in like notes and scribbles, and a bunch of them are like blacked out. All that happens is this family moves into this house and they discover that the house is secretly absolutely massive. On the outside, it looks like a normal 2-bedroom home, but on the inside, there's like these dark passageways that go on literally forever. There's no end to this darkness. And so one of the characters is a photographer and filmmaker, and he goes to inspect it. At the same time, we're reading the story that's already been said about this as a new character. This person was tasked with cleaning out this house, and he comes across this manuscript, and so he's reading about this story and like making notes about it and living his life at the same time as we're experiencing what's going on inside the house itself. So it's like a book within a book, which is always fun. It is the most engaging reading experience I've ever had because you have to be so focused. You're essentially watching someone go crazy as we're in the middle of a story that feels like we're going crazy. It will make you see dark in a whole new way. I don't want to talk about like what actually happens in it because I don't think it's fair. I think you just deserve to go and experience this for yourself. It will definitely satisfy all of your Halloween-y, creepy book needs that you could ever possibly want or ask for. I still think about that book. Those are my Halloween book recommendations for you all. I was really trying to find one for like candy, but I could not find a decent thriller or scary story that I've actually read because I don't want to recommend books that I've never read, but I wasn't able to find one. I would love to hear your picks for these emojis. I hope you all had fun watching this Halloween themed book recommendation video. I had a lot of fun making it. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe below if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Happy Halloween!